lot of new juice, a lot of new energy focused on what AI can do for the higher ed industry.
A lot of people don't realize how much that happens in intelligence work, right? That it's actually, there's some data analytics, there's deep research going on. That's actually it's quite a technical job.
When I heard the good news about AI, all kind of the fear or the tagline of AI won't replace you in your job. Someone with AI skills will replace you.
Welcome to another episode of AI Product Leader. Every week we shine a light on what it really takes to join the AI world. Real conversations with the real AI builders, founders, product leaders, AI experts, technologists, and everything in between to understand where the world of AI is right now and what that path looks like, whether you're building AI products or building a career in AI. I'm your host, Polly Allen. I'm an ex-Alexa AI Principal Product Manager, where I launched the very first generative AI answers on Alexa back in 2020. And I'm also the founder of AI Career Boost, where I spend my time today helping product leaders get into and thrive in AI leadership roles and build amazing AI products. I'm super excited to have our guest join us today. Thanks so much, Zak. Zak Wiatr is a product leader at the intersection of fintech, higher ed, and emerging tech, with a career that spans Air Force intelligence operations to scaling payments infrastructure for a 50 billion plus education ecosystem. Currently leading product at Transact Campus, Zak helps universities simplify and modernize the student payment experiences. And he's also delivered digital solutions for government clients at CoreLogic and driven millions of cost savings through strategic data and client experience initiatives. A former Air Force officer and architecture grad turned product strategist, Zak is passionate about shaping systems that serve real people, dreaming big, thinking in systems, and executing with precision. Zak, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm super excited to chat.
Yes, it's great. Looking forward to this one for a while.
Well, I'm sure after that introduction, everyone has the same thing, which was on my mind. Is I'd love to hear a little more about your background, coming from architecture grad to military intelligence officer. Can you tell us a little bit more about that story and how that happened?
Certainly. So, much like a lot of 18-year-olds, you never know what you want to do with your life. So did get right out of high school to do Air Force ROTC at University of Illinois, go Illini. Always wanted to be an architect, Frank Lloyd Wright, all that cool stuff growing up as a kid, Legos, that whole
Nice.
backstory. But then there comes a point in the 4 years where you have to pick a career and then kind of get your assignments. So the U.S. was in two wars at the time, so I got slotted into the intelligence career field, got to go into that, and then after graduation, shipped off to training school where I'm learning things from electromagnetic radar theory to aircraft tactics to how to keep our troops safe and just enemy conditions, geopolitics, wild stuff. So did that and then a career in that for 5 or 6 years. Got to go around all over the world, Asia, Middle East. One of the
Travel?
say again?
Did a lot of travel?
Yes, my first permanent duty station was overseas, so that was a kid from Chicago never leaving the city to going to Korea was a bit dramatic, but great and eye-opening, appreciative. And then sitting there, like that whole mission is obviously no secret here, North Korea. So on one of my assignments, I'm on the ops floor. It was either late one night or early one morning, and they detonate a nuclear bomb test that we were looking at, but that's what that looks like.
Oh, wow.
And everyone's kind of looking at each other like, oh, that happened. That happened.
And yeah, like to not have an idea of what that would look like on instrumentation because it had never happened before.
Right. Right. It's just like, oh, okay, that's a new one.
Oh,
That's
that's
a new one.
really wild. Oh my gosh. Excellent. So how long were you part of the Air Force intelligence?
I did that for, I think, 6 years active, and then you have the chance to either keep a career going, which a lot of my friends did. A lot of my friends are still in active duty service, and then, or you can look to leave or do reserves. So I did reserves and then try to pursue a kind of a new corporate career, as a huge transition.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was going to do 20 years. It just, life changes and certain implications. But so then I made that transition to corporate America, trying to leverage the data analytics background from the intelligence to anything in corporate America.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize how much of that happens in intelligence work, right? That it's actually there's some data analytics, there's deep research going on. That's actually like it's quite a technical job, correct?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
much more than I anticipated. But we had early access to like Google had come in. Obviously, Palantir's in the news today, but I was using Palantir 10 years ago,
yeah.
and no one even knew what it was. But so tools like that,
Mhm.
a lot of those companies will use government or military use cases to refine and kind of grow.
Absolutely, and and a lot of that work can be on the cutting edge using cutting edge tools that aren't necessarily even available out in the market, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, fantastic. So how did that work out translating that into corporate?
Luck, a lot of luck. Better be lucky than good. The in hindsight, and I didn't have this pitch when I was interviewing and transitioning over to corporate, but in hindsight, a good intelligence analyst or officer, any intelligence professional knows how to relate to the mission.
Mm,
And so knows all the dimensions of what makes a mission successful, but what also makes it vulnerable and risky.
yeah.
So oftentimes our job was really twofold: ensure the mission effectiveness and ensure the safety of the operators, in the field or conducting whatever mission effects. So if you're supporting aircraft or if you're supporting troops on the ground or a mix, what are the threats to them? What are the risks to them? But then also you need to be an expert in their systems, in their
Mm,
weapons, and their capabilities. And then you want to understand the other side of the table. So the enemy or the environment that could pose a real risk, a life risk or a mission failure risk to the entire effort. And so it's a lot of study, a lot of knowledge, and that's kind of the baseline.
mhm.
So once you have all that, and that's not one person, right? Like we're working with weather, we're working with operations, we're working with logistics, we're
Yeah.
working with communications, like all these experts across um, the various skill sets and career fields. Uh, so then, oh, by the way, like the actual operators. So if they're flyers, they would take you into the cockpit. They would show you their instruments. They would get you on comms and get you out on a sortie or a test flight, so you would appreciate what it's like when they're actually in the thick of it, how wild it is, how dynamic, how confusing, and sometimes scary and unknown. But that appreciation, in a test environment, allows a good intelligence operator to support effectively.
Mm.
So all that said, in hindsight, after about 8 or 9 years doing software product management, it translates a lot more one to one than I ever would.
I was like, I
Yeah,
know exactly what job you're describing.
that old cliche of the product manager being the CEO, the mini CEO or the mini GM of their product or their suite of products, you do have to have a real tangible appreciation for what sales hears
Yeah.
every day. Yeah. They're traveling, so what are their expectations or their capabilities on the road on their phone while they're trying to cultivate relationships and close deals. Marketing, what is marketing doing for the awareness, the brand protection of the company? What about your internal operations? What about obviously the software development lifecycle? How is all that coming together? So like going from the old office space, it wasn't Milton, it was the other guy who's like, I take requirements from from the customers and give them to the engineers, and it's like, well, why don't the customers just give them to the
The
engineers?
engineers.
But I have a whole new appreciation for uh, not coming up in a traditional product management career path or
Yeah,
right out of school, like how one blends in and learns from all the other experts
absolutely.
to do this.
Well, even the minute you were talking about, intelligence, and I was like, oh man, if I was a startup founder, and who would I want doing my competitive intel research?
And we need to talk about exactly competitive intel. So like my first thing at a new company or advising or in a new department is what's the status of the CRM?
Yeah.
What intel do we have on our clients, on the competition? And then if everyone's aligned on the business objectives, that's where you start on market size, current client temperature, product success. What levers? What are your goals? Let's pull some levers, but you need that intelligence. So like cheat code, like I feel like some answers to the test, walking in a new place, but you'd be surprised about how many CRMs are not very accurate.
Yeah, they're not prioritized, right? And you're like, this is actually your source of greatest truth about your customer.
Yeah,
it's a really great
yeah.
point. No, fantastic. Oh, I love that lens on it. That's amazing. An intelligence officer's take on how to run.
That'll be the book title.
Fantastic. Well, speaking of things we could write books about, so you've been involved in software product management now for over 10 years, but AI is kind of a more recent addition to kind of your skill set, right? You weren't necessarily, super familiar with AI, but now you're actually part of the task force at the ed tech company that you're at. Can you tell us a little more about what you're doing work-wise with AI today?
Yeah, at Transact Seaboard, so that ed tech company, it's gone through recent acquisition, but a lot of new juice, a lot of new energy, and focus on what AI can do for the higher ed industry.
Yeah.
So a lot of different papers, influences, but we are experimenting with a lot of tools. So your AI assistants, yes, your Claudes, your ChatGPTs, but what's interesting is then connecting with the clients and seeing where they are. Again, client empathy. So, back in the military, just to jump back into that thread, targeting the enemy or targeting mission effectiveness. Well, now flip back to product management. The enemy's not the client, but in a sense, you want to understand the client, where they are, meet them where they are, deliver value to them. So in higher ed, it is a lot of student experience. How do you optimize for the student? Because that's clearly the revenue source, but it's also, there's a real mission there, educating the youth of America. So, and facilitating that education. So what tools do they need? So sometimes it's educating our clients on what they can do out of the box with some of these AI assistants. Sometimes it's what work, and I'm stealing this from AWS conference, but what work do you not want to do?
Yeah.
And when you ask those questions, you actually get deeper insights than just like, oh, how could we slap AI here onto something?
Right. Less tech driven, more need driven.
Yes, exactly.
Driven. Yeah, brilliant, awesome. How is your organization thinking about adoption internally or rolling out AI features in terms of, like, it's a big shift to turn around a big organization? How is your task force thinking of handling that?
Great question, and that's the $1 million question for every established company today. In software, bottom up and top down. So we have this task force that is truly about awareness, enablement, opportunity, blazing a trail with new approvals. So obviously you got to approve new tools, new softwares, new compliance measures with all these capabilities. Mm-hmm. But once a task force or a top-down kind of clearance is given, once the floodgates are opened, then it's, hey, the ideas, again, I'm stealing this one, the ideas are where the work is. So top-down isn't going to know exactly the most elegant application or the sweet spot to apply any of these capabilities. It's going to be the frontline staff. It's going to be the frontline.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So call center, client support, client deployment, account managers, yes, product, but then even developers, code efficiency. So Claude Code is a big one. GitHub Copilot. I know there's some Cursor going on. All these IDEs, prototyping. Figma Make just came out of beta, so now every designer can just prompt their way. I was chatting with one designer yesterday. He's like, I don't want to be a pixel pusher anymore.
Yeah.
And then the task force also is sharing great influencer content. So I'm sure this will get shared, hopefully. But the Lenny podcasts. Mm-hmm. I know Claire had her new podcast launch.
AI, yeah.
Yes, Akash, I'm a big fan of Akash Gupta. There's a lot of them who are doing great content on AI specific for product management. So all these tools that are catching fire, and different tools for different departments. But I think you can see that you can at least 2x someone's output. Can you 4 or 5x it? Probably.
Yeah, with knowledge of using that. That's amazing. That's fantastic. I think it's a really great model to have like one group that's going out and doing research and being like, let's find the resources that are worth pushing out to the other departments, just so not everyone feels so like fighting uphill to figure this out on
Yeah,
their own.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Now you've been doing more than just sitting in meetings and stuff. You've actually been building with AI too, right? I'd love to hear more about some of the projects you've been working on, whether it's work or for personal use.
Exactly. So everyone has that aha moment or that, you know, did you watch The Sopranos? Have you seen that? Are you a
I
fan?
haven't. I'm like the only person on
Oh,
the planet.
okay. Well, no, but there's a really funny clip. I'll send it to you after this. It's a really funny clip where they're at dinner and the aunt brings this weird boyfriend to dinner.
Okay.
It's a mafia family dinner,
Yeah.
and he's found God, so that's all he wants to talk
Yeah.
about. He just keeps asking everyone at like the most awkward moments of the dinner, "Have you heard the good news?" And so it's really funny. But when I heard the good news about AI
Yeah.
was all kind of the fear or the tagline of AI won't replace you in your job. Someone with AI skills will replace you.
Right.
And that was
Mantra.
the LinkedIn algorithm had that on lock, and it was just keep
Right.
feeding it to
Everyone. Yeah.
me.
You just had to say that. You'll get a million views.
Yes.
It's silly.
Right. So starting with Perplexity, I think LinkedIn gives you a free trial of that. So I started with that, and that really opened my mind to the possibility. Notebook LM, kicked that off, and then ChatGPT, and then Claude, and then research capabilities, information synthesis. But I knew I wasn't in the deep end of the pool.
Yeah.
So, and that meant you got to build your own apps. You got to do it. You just got to come. And I'm not a tech person. I don't have a software engineering background, so I can't code. I was trying to find courses to do that. So I know jumped into yours and have a great experience there. Shameless plug, but yeah. So built an app that the idea is, or the ambitious idea is. And I have some real estate agent friends, so they may kill me if they ever listen to this. But uh, I don't think the real estate agents are going to exist in 15 years,
Mm.
maybe less.
That's right for disruption, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now you could ChatGPT all the steps of selling a home or buying a home, and then you just start automating each step.
Yeah.
And I picked the one for getting an accurate list price, which also influenced from my background at CoreLogic, which is now Cotality,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding how complex these automated valuation models are.
Yeah.
But what's the level of acceptable accuracy is kind of my question. If someone, are they okay underpricing or overpricing by 2%, 1%, $10,000? Or do they want to spend $800 on a full appraisal?
Right.
So built an app in Replit to do that. That was great. Back and forth with Magic Patterns, Replit, Claude, Supabase, and then all your APIs.
Yeah.
So
A lot of integrations, right? Integrating into data streams.
yes, needed the real estate data. So that was a fun project.
Yeah.
And then also now I do believe anyone can build these.
I was just going to ask about the learning curve on that. So you were coming from no software engineering background at all. You were able to build. This was backed by a database. It even had authentication and like user logins
Yeah,
too, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Tell us a little bit about like what you found hardest about that ramp up.
I didn't know what a product or project library was. I didn't know what the file structures. No data structures, baseline and relational table structures, but not how they all work in concert. What needs to be called when, costs for read writes, when you want to, and then all of that working effectively, but also being a good UX experience. You need to trigger dopamine here. You need to
Yeah.
show successful progress here.
Yeah.
How all that comes together, I've always, as a product manager, you have experts, you have teammates that focus on exactly those things. So doing that solo, whole new appreciation for all this. And then you mentioned learning curve. You just jump in the pool.
Yeah.
You just you turn off your Netflix subscription for a month and turn on Replit or turn on Lovable, or any of the IDEs, and you just start jamming.
Do you have a favorite stack? Now it seems like you tried a bunch of these out. Do you have a favorite tech stack to work with now?
I prefer, my start would be, and I know Greg Eisenberg, like they all have recommendations on how to start, but I would go idea and research Perplexity or ChatGPT or Claude, but then I go idea evaluation in Claude. I did use Clairvaux's PRD, Chat PRD, formalize the content, the structure, the outline, the intent, and then you can take the formal PRD back to Claude, ask Claude to turn this PRD into exact instructions for magic patterns.
Mm-hmm.
Magic patterns will then give you, I would argue, the best first one shot of your prototype.
Nice.
And then you can just prompt that, tweak that. You can then download the CSS or HTML right from Magic Patterns and throw that into Replit, and it will do that right away.
Yeah.
And then it's just a matter of working through back and forth, have your APIs there. So, your AI assistant of choice, Chat PRD is great, Magic Patterns, and then Replit, and then Supabase for the backend.
Database backend. Yeah. I love hearing people's workflow as well as their tool stack. That's fantastic. Because I think everyone's finding their groove for what works for them, and it kind of depends if you want to start with the back end, you want to start with the front end. Exactly. Now that's not the only thing you've built, right? You've and used AI for. You're now AI first in so many more ways. Can you tell us a little bit more about even your personal life? How do you use AI?
None of my friends in my fantasy football league will ever watch this, but it used to be I have to go to the market, a grocery store, to get a magazine and read the projections for the upcoming football season. But now, and then it used to be watch all the fantasy football influencers, so their podcasts, their YouTube. Well, I can now take 20 YouTube links, I can put them in Notebook LM, and I don't have to watch a thing. And I can have 40 hours of fantasy football content right there. Yeah. And there's now I'll tell you maybe in January if I won the league or not. But
it's a good experiment.
Yes. There's that one. Big one for me though, as a father, is just as I'm trying to future-proof my career, parents used to or still worry about social media or screen time. Yeah. And they worry about, or high dopamine shows like Coco Melon or these other shows. But then you worry about gun safety, or you worry about bullying, or you worry about all these other things out in the world. AI is another thing to worry about for the upcoming, children of the world. How do I think about ensuring certain education milestones are met, independent thought milestones, but also you don't want to raise them without internet safety, gun safety, crossing the street safety. So there's AI safety, but I have to be an expert, a practitioner, a daily user. So does my wife in that. Yeah. So we have to be an AI first household to do that. And plug to Google, I think they're one of the first. The Genie model, but via Gemini, I can't remember whatever, but just this week, you can now prompt a live storybook. Have you seen that?
I haven't. I know some folks in the class have done that as like their as projects kind of thing too, but that's really cool to see. So they do with the video and the whole works, right?
With videos, with photos and the words, and you can have it narrated to the child, or the child can, it can work to read.
Yeah.
So yeah, children's safety. And then this one is a fun one. This just happened this morning. So I needed an Uber locally in town,
Yeah.
and I ended up going the cheaper one. I usually try to splurge and I go the higher one, but this one was the cheaper one. And you never know who you're going to get driving when you hit the cheaper one, right? Roll the dice. So I get in there, we start the small talk, and the person says, "Hey, not for nothing, this isn't a sob story, but I was just recently homeless. So now I'm off the streets, I'm driving, this is great. I have a vision to start a business. And while I was homeless, I couldn't eat high quality food, and I was getting very sick." And they said, "So now I want to start an app that caters to farmers where they can sell their organic food and like list it. People can create custom baskets or weekly deliveries, but I would market it to more affluent neighborhoods who would have the money for that, where the farms are. And then I would have a delivery service, kind of like a DoorDash or an Uber facilitate, and that would be the app, or that'd be the business." And the person asked, "Am I competing? You think the grocery stores would get mad?" And I said, "No, your competition isn't grocery stores, it's DoorDash."
Right.
And they're like, "Oh, okay." And I said, and then they said, and they would take some of the profit or the profits to a non-for-profit that would help underprivileged or lower income with better quality food options.
Yeah, totally. I can see that working in a model like what's the shoe one where you like buy one?
Yes. Or Bombas with the socks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So I heard that, and clearly not a lot of business acumen or tech acumen. So I said to the person, I said, "Here's what you do. ChatGPT, they said, I'm going to the library right after this ride to do research on this." I said, "Okay, great. Start Googling whatever research articles." There was a Shark Tank company that did something similar. Get any thoughts on paper, on a Word doc, article, save it all in a folder, upload it to ChatGPT, ask it to create a business plan and a PRD.
Yeah.
And then I said, and then go to this site called Replit. And then just ask ChatGPT to give you what Replit needs, and it will make the app for you. And they're like, "You're kidding me." It's a little more work than that, but yes, you don't need a software team. You don't need to know how to code or anything.
Need persistence.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they say, "How much does it cost?" "The $20 a month to start." They're like, "Oh my God."
Yeah. Oh, incredible. Well, it's super inspirational. We'll keep an eye out. Where are you based again, in case we see this startup coming out?
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas. Okay. Watch for the food startup out of Dallas.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Well, hopefully you inspired them to get started. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's incredible transformation. A couple of years ago, even not that long ago, you were not AI savvy. You hadn't touched an AI tool, and now it's not just you. You have an AI first household.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Yeah. So can you tell us how you got started when you knew you wanted to be part of this AI revolution?
Fear. Great note.
Fear and FOMO was where you started. Okay. Well, what came after that?
Perplexity, just for seeing the lines of text.
Yeah.
And just hearing the buzzword Gen AI. What is Gen AI? What is generative AI? And then seeing that in Perplexity was like, oh my goodness. But that's the gateway drug. That was my gateway app. And then Notebook LM was terrific at synthesizing information, uploading attachments or YouTube.
Totally. I use the podcast feature all the time too. If I have like a research something I need, I'll drop it as a podcast and listen to it on the way to work.
Do you like that?
Mm-hmm. If I've got like a big I had to pick a social media automation tool the other day, and I was like, "What's the options?" And I just took all the research, did a deep research piece, stuck it in Notebook LM. I didn't have time to read the whole thing.
Right.
And I'll be like, "Hey, make this a podcast so I can listen to it while I drive."
Yeah. Yes.
That's my hack.
That's a good one. I got to do that. That's good. And then seeing, and then I was at a conference. Didn't have my laptop, but I had my phone, and someone asked me, hey, do you think in a few weeks after this conference, this client right here
Yeah.
wants this solution? Do you think in a few weeks that we could give them some mock-ups or learn with them through some kind of prototype? They would love to partner on
Yeah.
this. And after this initial kind of self-taught crash course, I just did it on my phone. I just had, I think in that time it was Claude just whip up an artifact and you'd see the lines of React code running. And there it is on the phone, the dashboard, the drill downs, the tables, the details, the clickable. And, that was another like, have you heard the good news moment, right? Like, it's like, whoa,
Just to
this is,
program it on your phone in real time. It's crazy.
yeah, that's the only way all work should be done. Humans are meant to be creative. And these, fingers and digits are a terrible medium
Right.
to
Very slow.
get work done. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, fantastic. So if you were to boil down your advice, someone who is just starting out on their AI journey, what's the thing you wish you knew when you were starting out? If you could go back and tell.
It's a lot easier than we make it up to be in our mind or we see on social media or on LinkedIn or in work calls. And it's not only for tech people. So, by the nature of my job and career now, I guess I'm a tech person. Not a terrible label.
You've written your own app.
Yes, that's true. But a lot of people, just say like, oh, I can't do that. I don't know how to even use a computer. And I think even on Claire Vaux's podcast, she had a 93-year-old grandpa, great grandpa build an app or build multiple apps. So it's a lot easier than it seems on the surface, and anyone can do it.
Don't be intimidated. Amazing. Amazing. Well, I think that's most of the questions we have for today. We do have to wrap up. Is there anything we'd like to plug at the last section? Zak, if people are interested in advice on their own AI journey, anything to do with your background, even talking about how AI task forces are set up, how to run one, how can they get a hold of you?
LinkedIn, Zak Wiatr, Zakwiatr. Yep.
Put it in the show notes.
Oh, great. Yeah. Please hit me up on LinkedIn. I love coaching or interesting challenges, advancing, even every Uber driver along their own app building journey there.
Amazing. Such an inspirational story. Thanks so much, Zak. Excellent. Well, I think that's it for us this week. Another episode of AI Product Leader. We're super excited for you to join us again in a couple of weeks with our next inspirational stories. Thanks so much again, Zak, for being a part of this. It was amazing.
Thanks, Polly.
Awesome.